Hello guys, it's April here and welcome to Conan, where today we have a bit of a special episode. I've seen a lot of YouTubers mess around with the lore, but it's just randomly cut into their normal episodes, and I thought let's do that different and just make a special episode to discuss the lore so far that I've discovered. So yeah, this is gonna be that, and it's gonna be exciting because we discovered some super cool stuff. So get ready for the first video where we encounter the story of a pirate that is, well, he's not doing too well. I think he's dead actually. Yeah, I think they hang him over the rafters. But okay, let's go and watch that.
As ordered, we tracked the deserters into the southern desert. We found old Colby here, hidden in the shelter of a rocky outcrop, muttering to himself. Of the others, there were no sign. I asked Colby to tell me what happened, and I got this wild tale, which I've written down in full.
We weren't deserting. We was off hunting for treasure. Jacoby had it in his mind that them bloody ruins, the one that the bracelet calls the observatory, was full of treasures. Jacoby got me and the boys to follow along, and he took us to the cliff with a length of stout rope and a plan to go climbing. Well, the ascent was steep and dangerous on account of us doing it during the night time to avoid them cannibals as haunts the area. But we picked a nice clear night with a full moon and got ourselves to the very top. I gotta say,
The werewolves.
I didn't like them ruins from the moment we got there. Just a pile of black brooding stone in the moonlight and no treasure in sight. Jacoby starts poking around looking for the treasure and all, and he uncovers one of them glowing tablets. Their voice, you know the one, starts talking about constellations and star signs, and the crew starts swearing and cursing Jacoby for dragging us up for nothing, and then it came. I ain't never seen anything like it, mate. It had skin like a plague corpse and black bristling fur. Its eyes were glowing like the coals of hell, and when it reared up, the wings blotted out the moonlight. It took Jacoby first, just snapping forward and tearing his head clean off. Me and the boys were screaming and scrambling, trying to reach the rope and get down before this beastie could take us. I got to the rope and started sliding down, burning my hands as I went. Above, I could hear the screaming and snapping, and warm blood was raining from the sky. The rope was swaying and slapping me into the cliff face, and I was scrambling, and then it let go. I fell, and I fell, but I crashed into the top of a tree and I passed out. When I awoke, I was alone out here in the desert with a sandstorm sweeping in. I got myself to some shelter, and then you found me here.
I'm bringing Colby back to the ship for judgment. Personally, I think we can hang him from the edge. He's obviously lying to protect the others.
So a very interesting story, but there's some special parts in there that are just special to me. One of them is actually the fact that they're talking about something called the observatory. Now, we're not really sure where it is, and we haven't really been able to figure it out. As far as I can tell, it's not in the city. But what is very interesting about that part of the story is the fact that they say that it's the bracelet that calls it the observatory. Now, honestly, I haven't been talking to my bracelet and haven't really found a way to do it. But if I could, I would really like to, because that would give us some answers. Also, he's talking about a gigantic furry black creature with wings, with a corpse-like skin. I'm thinking that it's probably a gargoyle. Like in the city there's like these big bat creatures, and I think there's probably a really big black one somewhere that comes out at the moonlight at the observatory. So if we can find where the observatory is, we can probably, you know, see if we can fight this creature if he's already in the game. Anyhow, I think this is super awesome, and I hope you guys think that as well. But there's more behind the story, maybe? I'm not really sure if it connects to the story of the werewolf man, or I think he's a demigod and he's part hyena. So I'm just gonna show you his story, what he's got to tell us, And it's really interesting because I think there is a part in there that tells us how to learn how to tame creatures in this game. So, go and listen and see if you can pick up on it like I did.
Is my appearance repellent to you, human? Your kind find no kinship in the unnatural. My brother in PC summoned me from the misty lands. We are bound by flesh, blood, and our kinship with Jebbar Sarg. But in PC asked of me power that could not be given. He took my silence for disobedience and drove me forth from his camp in a wrath. I simply wish to return to my realm, but PC will not allow it because he thinks I am withholding information. If I could simply kill PC to secure passage to my realm, I would do it. The incantations that he spoke bind us as one, tied together by invisible threads. His thoughts are my thoughts. If he is...
Have you already listened to all the stuff?
Shut up.
If I am cut, he bleeds. There must be a severing of ties if I am to find my way back. Do you know of Jebbar Sarg, human? Once all living things worshipped him. When men and animals spoke the same tongue, he would walk among them in any form that he chose. He would mate with females of all races, and from those unions would birth half-divine children such as I, such as in PC. Most men have forgotten the tongue that they shared with the animals. Only some few animals remember. Would you learn to speak with the animals?
Yes, I do. Can I?
The realm that I come from is volatile. A world of shifting energies and elemental forces. By contrast, I find your world to be tranquil.
Ha!
But I suspect that my nature makes me more sensitive to the undercurrents that run beneath this strange land. Take this grove, for instance. These trees were once something else, not human, or any other creature that I have encountered in this place. And they are screaming. Endlessly screaming.
Yeah, I noticed.
Have you seen my brother in PC? He is more animal than man, lost in the mad-scented lust of the hunt. When he summoned me, he sought the power to become a beast for a period. When I refused him and was outcast, he turned to darker powers. I fear that a bat has flown over the mountains of the dead, bearing his request to the four brothers of the night. But the gods of darkness have replied, I do not know. But strange beasts stalk the night now. And once, I saw the shadow of the children of Jill passing over this place and into the mountains. I fear what he has unleashed. I will wander here, human, until I can return.
So that was super interesting and a lot of information. So this poor fellow is a demigod and he is stuck here just like us, but for very different reasons. He was brought here by his brother, who's also a demigod, but probably wasn't like a beast. He's probably more human because he bullied his brother into giving him powers to be like a beast for some time. But he couldn't give him those powers, so instead he exiled him from wherever they were living, or their camp, it seems like, which is probably the werewolf camp, because you can find information about Ipsy there. He talks about a lot of things, but what it comes down to is it seems that his brother got the powers he wanted somewhere else. More precisely, the god called Jill. He's talking about the children of Jill, and those are actually the bat-like creatures that are in the city. So, going by that, I think the big creature, furry creature with the wings the pirate is talking about is probably his brother Ipsy. and he comes, like, appears at the full moon at the observatory, which we haven't been able to find yet. He also talks about his father, which is also super interesting. He talks about his father being a god that fornicated with other creatures, and that is probably the bosses we see is probably his children. Also, he talks about all the creatures being able to talk to each other, and I think this guy will teach us how to tame creatures and talk to the bosses by teaching us the language that all creatures understand, or their language. I don't really know how it works. We're gonna figure it out, but that part is not yet in the game right now. I do think that's interesting because a lot of bosses have like doors behind them, and I think you can probably talk to the bosses so they will open the doors for you. Another thing that's super cool he talks about is actually the grove, or what we call the crater, and that those things that are frozen there as trees are actually not from this planet or Earth or from this place. He doesn't know what it is, and he's an ancient creature, which is pretty much Cherry confirmed they're aliens. If even like a demigod doesn't know what the fuck is going on here, aliens is the thing. Cool though that they combine like gods with aliens. That's awesome to me. So yeah. There's also this little thing he tells us about the fact that he would like to kill his brother, but he can't because they're connected. So now I'm like sort of like, so if we kill your brother, that means you're gonna die. I'm actually kind of sad about that. But that's probably something that we're gonna have to do in the future. Like our teacher that teaches us how to communicate with the animals and will probably give us a lot in this game. We're probably gonna have to end up killing him. And we're all gonna have a big ass sop party up over that. At least I will, because I really like this guy. I love him. He's a creeper, but you know. Anyhow, to the next, because there's more. We went to the big city in the center, and on top of the temple, you can in and fight the snake boss. There's a gigantic fucking alien king, whatever. Go and take a watch. It's cool.
Ashes and dust, human. Ashes and dust. All that remains of what we once were. An echo of an echo. In my mind, I still walk the streets of our city. The iron scent of blood as I pass the temple of the old serpent. The thrumming power in my veins as I chant the ritual of summoning. The intoxication and ecstasy of knowledge. Ashes and dust. When the world was shattered, your people came to us as refugees. We were generous. We gave them the wild north. They built a city there amongst the trees and practiced weird sciences and worshipped their demon gods. For 1,000 years, there was peace and trade among our peoples. But your kind is ever seeking, ever grasping, ever multiplying. War was inevitable, and when it came, it was terrible. I see that you wear the bracelet, human. When the war between our peoples began, we created such to bend the prisoners of war to our bidding. My kind are long-lived and slow to replenish our numbers. And as we dwindled in the war, we increasingly came to rely on human prisoners to provide us with labor. To that end, we created the bracelets, to bond your kind, to control your movements, to allow you to understand our language, and to prevent your kind from escaping. But that was an eon ago. To what purpose they have now been attuned, I cannot say. I was one of the triumvirate that ruled this land. The archivist concerned himself primarily with the collection of knowledge, and the priest king had dominion over our spirits and the rituals of our faith. My people called me the War Maker, for it was my duty to keep them safe, and for a while, I did my duty. I held the northern passages against the humans. Together with the archivist, I established the watchtowers to warn us of the coming of the humans. They burn still, bonded one. When their color changes, it is because those of your kind have crossed the borders to our kingdom with the intent to slay, burn, and kill. In the end, we were betrayed. During a skirmish in the north, the humans revealed a new weapon, forged of their strange science. It smashed through the ranks of my troops, turning those captured in its blast into solid stone. Those who survived fled south to lick our wounds. During this moment of weakness, the Priest King came to me with a proposal. A new ritual to counter the human sciences. A powerful magic to scour the landscape and drive them forth. In desperation, I agreed. Do you understand, human? In ages past, this was the most fertile land in our empire. And then I unleashed the magic that created the sandstorm. And I lost control of it. I betrayed my people to a slow, dwindling doom. I've been alone in the darkness for a long time, human. Few have come to me over the eons. But there was a man who came here years ago. I had not spoken with another being for thousands of years. And there was a hunger in me for conversation. He did not wear a bracelet as you do, so he learned my speech. And he listened to me talk of this city and what it once was. And for a while, as I described it to him, it lived again in my mind. Perhaps I spoke too much. When I told him of the greatest artifact of our religion, the serpent ring of Set, he left me to search for it. And now your kind come into my city again, wearing the slave bonds and disturbing the dead. Time has taught me that coincidences are simply patterns that I have not yet understood. Ashes and dust, human. Ashes and dust.
So we just met the alien war commander. Very interesting, and he confirms a lot of our theories on this. He tells us about some of the history and how they used to give us the bracelets, and that's a very interesting part because they no longer do. They are no longer there. Only he seems to be the only one that remains, and he tells us that some eons, decades, whenever ago, a human came to him, and he couldn't help but talk to the human because he wanted to talk to someone. And he might have told him some things he shouldn't have. He told him about one of the most powerful weapons the gods offer, and since then the guy has gone. And the first people he saw after that are wearing the bracelets again. So it seems that we might be under control or imprisoned with the bracelets by a human. However, I think it's not a human. I actually think it's NPC, the brother from the werewolf guy from before. The guy who probably now turns into a giant big black bat creature. So yeah, it's logical. Also, I think he is actually the guy from the intro that cuts us off the cross. Because if you look at the intro, this guy, they seem to hide the arm, which has the bracelet on it. You don't see it a lot. But when you see it, it definitely doesn't have a bracelet on it. It does have leather binding, so it's, it could be under there. But I do think that is NPC. He's actually human, and he turns into a gigantic crazy werewolf bat thing vampire during the full moon. But then, why is he imprisoning us? Is he that power hungry? Are we just food to him? I'm curious. I don't know where this is going. All I'm very excited about is the fact that we can probably talk to animals in the future. I'm curious what a hyena would say, to be honest. But anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this. There's a lot of information, but I think this is pretty much all the lore you can find. We also found one more little piece of lore, and I'm not going to show you that. There is another alien, actually a ghost, a hologram of an alien, somewhere in the city, and he offers you the ability to check out things you find, artifacts you find, if you don't understand them. However, those mechanics are not yet in the game, so you cannot really do anything with it yet. I mean, there's not even, the artifacts are not even in the game. But it's an interesting little thing, and I wonder if there's more things like that to come. Anyhow, it was super cool to figure all this out, and I hope you guys, like this and are curious to find out more, just like I am. Please go in and add more lore. I sort of went through all the lore now. I need new stuff. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. Already said that. See you next time. Bye.